Very warm good afternoon to all. Today, I, Subodh Chaudhary, I'll be presenting my seminar topic on air monitoring. Uh, for air monitoring, let's first discuss about the air pollution. So, air pollution constitutes the most pressing environmental health risk facing our global population. It is estimated to contribute towards 7 million premature deaths a year, while 92% of the world's population are estimated to breathe toxic air quality, according to WHO. In less developed countries, 98% of the children under 5 years breathe toxic air. As a result, air pollution is the main cause of the death for children under the age of 15, killing 600,000 every year. In financial terms, premature deaths due to air pollution cost about $5 trillion in welfare losses worldwide, according to the World Bank. So, this is all due to air pollution. That is why air monitoring is very important, and we'll see further in the following PPT. So, what is air monitoring? Monitoring is an exercise to measure ambient air pollution levels in an area. The data will be indicate the status of the quality of air we breathe. These patterns include spatial difference in pollution and temporal differences, that is the pattern of pollution levels during day or a year. Uh, Using these data trends, we can conclude in our efforts are improving the quality of air we successful, and by how much. If not, do we need to try other options or be more aggressive in our current efforts? We should note the following. We should not note the point that while air pollution monitoring itself does not reduce air pollution, it gives us clues on how much is the air pollution, where is the pollution, and when is that pollution, so that we can take the countermeasures accordingly. The question arises, why we need air monitoring. Air pollution monitoring informs air pollution policy, and because of this connection, monitoring activities are often cited as an integral part, if not the key measure, of an air pollution control strategy by policymakers and by extension the media. For example, here's an article from 2016, the Hindustan Times, that quotes the mobile air quality monitoring until we will be capable of real-time sampling, analysis, and control of air pollution from sources. Here's an image. Here's an image of South Africa uh, about the emissions values of the air pollution. And now we'll see the types of monitoring. There are several types of monitoring: ambient, static, ambient mobile, and stack emissions. These are basically the types of monitoring doing indoors and outdoors. You can see the devices that can be set up indoor or outdoor according to the need. So different ways of collecting this information and multiple uses of the information. Uh, the measuring instruments. The two principal approaches are available to identifying or to quantifying airborne contaminants: the on-site use of direct reading instruments, or laboratory analysis of air samples obtained by gas sampling, bag, filter, sorbent, or wet contaminant collection methods. So first, the direct reading instruments. These instruments, which can be used while at home by anyone. So a direct reading instruments can detect contaminants in concentration down to 1 part contaminant per million parts of air ppm. Although quantitative data are difficult to obtain when multiple contaminants are present. A reading of 0 should be reported as no instrument response rather than clean, because quantities of chemicals may be present that are not detectable by the instrument. The information provided by direct reading instruments can be used to institute the appropriate protective measures, to develop optimum sampling and analytical protocols. Generally, they are not designated to measure and detect airborne concentrations below 1 ppm. Many of the direct reading instruments that have been designed to detect one particular substance also detect other substance and consequently may give false reading. The laboratory analysis. Direct reading personal monitors are available for only a few specific substances and are rarely sensitive enough to measure the minute, that is parts of contaminants per billion parts of air, quantities of contaminants which may nevertheless induce health changes. The volatile component is collected on a solid absorbent and a non-volatile component is collected on a filter. A major disadvantage of the long-term air monitoring is the time required to obtain data. The time lag between sampling and obtaining the analysis results may be the matter of hours if an on-site laboratory is available, or days, or even weeks, even months if a remote laboratory is involved. Now, how to select the measurement site. The location of the measurement site is very crucial and can lead to bias in the final result. The site close to the industrial estate, or a site in the middle of the residential area, or a site obstructed by surrounding trees, or a site close to traffic junction, or a site in the middle of the park. These these all these sites can be included for the result, the deviation in the results while measuring the pollution. A general understanding is that the ambient monitoring station can represent an area covering 2 kilometer radius, which translates to 15 square kilometers. We must also consider population density, a range of industrial activities, and a local land use, which will further determine the required number of stations. To minimize these biases, proper protocol for installing monitoring stations is that there are multiple monitors at different sites representing all areas and activities. So the last point says that we for proper bias monitoring, we need more and more instrument installed in different parts of the city. How the monitoring data is used for health exposure assessments. One of the biggest uses of a reliable ambient air monitoring data is to establish a credible nexus with an health impact which ranges from cases of ischemic heart disease, which lead to heart attack, cerebrovascular disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, lower respiratory infections, and cancers. There are also growing evidence linking air pollution with an obesity, diabetes, and Alzheimer's disease. According according to a recent global burden disease (GBD) estimates in a 2016, estimated premature deaths are over 1 million due to outdoor and 780,000 due to household PM2 pollution. 2.5 PM2 is particulate matter, which is 2.5 micron. Similar estimates were published by Indian researchers as well, which are categorically rejected by the environment ministers or multiple occasions. Now, here is the the particulate matter, which is 2.5 micron pollution in India, and we have three different images over the period of the year of 1998, 2014, and 2015. You can see that the number of districts has progressively increased from 98.1% to 99.4% of with that 10 microgram per meter cube. Similarly, for 40 microgram per meter cube, the stats has increased, and all you see, uh, this is the red part in the map shows the area where the pollution has increased significantly, and you can see the three images. The red part has significantly increased over the period of time. uh, See, this part has increased. And this is the report given by Census 2011. Now we will talk about the pros and cons of air monitoring. First, we'll go with the pros. The data collected from the air quality monitoring helps us assess impacts caused by poor air quality on public health. Air quality data helps us determine if an area is meeting the air quality standards devised by CPCB, WHO, or OSHA. OSHA is a NASA Spartan. NASA's phase doing the air monitoring. The data collected from air quality monitoring would primarily help us identify polluted areas, the level of pollution, and air quality levels. Air quality monitoring would assist in determining if air pollution control programs devised in a locality are working efficiently or not. Air quality data helps us understand the mortality rate of any locations due to air pollution. We can also assess and compare the short-term and long-term disorders, which are results in the air pollution. Now for the cons, uh, the air monitoring is not sufficiently location specific. It changes over area by area to area. You cannot say that the contamination of if we have this some microgram pollutant on this area, so we cannot say the just a side of 1 meter it will have the same concentration. So the key pollutants such as NO2 and particulate matter 2.5 vary dramatically over short distances and time intervals. So supporting the first point, maintenance requirements and relatively high cost of reference equipments limits the places it can be installed. The only offer is single reading over a number of weeks, and air quality professionals therefore rely on modeling techniques to fill the gaps. uh, Comparisons of particular measurements are also problematic due to the range of reference equivalence methods available and the limitations. We'll see about the air quality index. Air quality index gives us the numerical value, numerics about the quality of air. Say the less the AQI, the better the quality of air. So in the numeric value between 0 to 50, it will have good air. From 51 to 100, it will be moderate and fall significantly. The AQI can increase due to an increase in air emissions, for example during rush hour traffics, and the upwind forest fire, or from the lack of dilution of air pollutants. The status of air monitoring in India. India has set the target for states to meet the National Ambient Air Quality Standards (NAAQS) in the urban areas by 2017. The present National Air Quality Monitoring Network is limited in scope as the recorded values are indicative and there is an immense time lag in reporting the data, so real-time action is not possible. We can see the states, the red states, which has the highest AQI, that is the pollution. We can say the contaminants are more air. The Madhya Pradesh and the Maharashtra region. These are the stats. The last 24 hours, PM 2.5 concentrations having the Faridabad as the more highest polluted city. Then Muzaffarnagar, and as we go down, we have Kozhikode. Kozhikode showing the less contaminations. Uh, Again the same, that the different unit we have the PM 2.5 concentration having again highest for Faridabad, and for the different cities. Here we have the comparison, the scatter plot of comparison of 24 hours average 2.5 concentration. So here we can do the analytics over the time, over the month, and take the countermeasures accordingly. For example, here's the graph for Mumbai and Kolkata.